everybody, this is Brendan Coyle with Such a Voice, and this is the video on basic installation and recording and playback with Audacity. This video is really geared towards our new students who are setting up their home studios, and if you're new to the program, welcome. But if you are using an operating system like Pro Tools or Studio One and you want to become more familiar with Audacity, this is the video for you. The first thing I want to show you, I show before just about every video, is the support you have at Such a Voice when dealing with new software, new hardware. And the first thing you should check out, if you have any questions about Audacity or home studio technology in general, is www.suchavoice.com/support. But as a new student, what I tell you to definitely check out is the Audacity manual for Such a Voice students. If you go up to Solutions and go to General, and it's the second one, Audacity Guide by Such a Voice. And this is basically what this video is going to cover today. Just click on this PDF, and it just covers basic installation and setup for Audacity, and specifically geared towards our VO students. So the first thing I want to discuss is your computer, what you're using right now. There are certain requirements every computer needs to run software. The minimal requirements for a PC is a 1 gigahertz processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM, 500 megabytes of available space on your hard drive, and a USB 1.1. For Mac users, you want to make sure that you're running OS 10.4 or later. If you bought your computer within the last 5 years, you should be fine with these requirements. If you're not sure of these specs on your computer, on a Macintosh, you can go up to Apple, About This Mac, and you can bring up this information guide. Right now I'm running OS version 10.6.8. My processor is 2.2 gigahertz. I have 8 gigabytes of RAM. And if I just open my Finder, I know that I have, if you look right down here, I have 172.49 gigabytes available. So my computer is ready to go. So let's begin. First of all, we need to download the Audacity installer. And we're going to have to go to the Audacity webpage. So let's just go ahead and open a browser. A new window. And you can do one of two things. You can either go into Google and just type Audacity, hit enter, and you're going to get to the Audacity free audio editor, and it'll bring you to the Audacity webpage. Or you can manually type into your browser address that address right there, audacity.sourceforge.net. Depending if you're on a Mac or a PC, you should automatically get the default download. I'm on a Mac, so it automatically gives me the download Audacity 2.0.1 for Mac OS 10.4 or later. And so I'm going to go ahead and just click on that. Download. And I get my download window. One very important thing when you're downloading from the internet is knowing where you're downloading to, knowing where items you're downloading, like software or attachments from emails, are downloading onto your computer. Sometimes people get very confused by this. They'll download something and they can't find it. I choose my downloads folder, as you'll see in the video. You can also choose to download things directly to your desktop. And the way you do that is you'll go into the Preferences section on the browser you're using, whether that's Safari, Chrome, or Firefox. Just go into the Preferences, and there should be a menu there that allows you to select where you want to download items when you're downloading from the internet. I have my computer set to download into my downloads folder. Let me get rid of my download window here. Let me minimize this screen. My downloads folder is right here. And I can just go and pull the installer out. This is the Audacity installer. And the next step is pretty easy. I'm just going to double click on it. And it's going to bring up this window with the folder in it. For PC users, this icon might look a little different. It might look like a zipped yellow folder, and that's fine. Just double click on it and you should get the same results. And then setup, then installation is pretty easy. I'm just going to, this is the installation folder right here. All I have to do is click and drag this to my applications folder. So let me just go ahead and open a new Finder window. For Mac people, all you have to do is press Command N. Here is my applications folder right here. And I'm just going to click and drag it into there. And there's the Audacity folder I just brought into my applications folder. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click and launch the Audacity icon. And my Mac always asks me, you know, you just download this from the web, are you sure you want to open it? And yes, I'm sure it's safe to open. And bam, that's it. Audacity launches and it opens. And I get my edit window in Audacity. And I get this little window as well. How to get help. The great thing about Audacity, well, the number one great thing about Audacity is, number one, it's free, which is great. And it's a great tool. It's very reliable software for the price you pay. It's absolutely free. But the other great thing about it is you have, if you run into any problems with it, you can go to suchavoice.com/support, but you can also, there's a ton of things online to help you with Audacity as well. There's a quick help, there's a manual you can install, and there's a wiki page, and there's a forum. You can ask questions directly with other users of Audacity if you run into a problem with your own Audacity, and some of the other users can help you out. And all these resources, if you click on them, they'll take you to the page, and they're searchable. My favorite is the manual. If you click on the manual, it brings it up in a browser for you, and it will go through a lot of different ways you can use Audacity. Bottom line is there are no shortage of resources out there to help you with Audacity. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. So now we've downloaded and we've installed Audacity. But now, before I begin recording or bouncing out my VO performances, there's a couple of preferences I like to change in Audacity just to customize it to how I want to use it. So the first thing I want to do, from the Audacity Preferences, if we go up to Audacity and we click on Preferences, we get this box right here. And if you go to Import Export, and I like to make sure that this Show Metadata Editor prior to export step, I like to get rid of that. If we have it clicked on, basically when we export audio, if we record something into Audacity and we export the audio, it's going to show this window asking us, you know, what was the name of the song, what was the name of the artist, what year was this song recorded, and that's really not relevant to doing a voiceover. We don't need to put all that extra data into the audio file, so I just get rid of that completely. All these defaults are good to keep. You can keep them just like this. Just make sure that this box is unchecked and press OK. The other thing that we have to set up in Audacity is basically how sound is going to go into Audacity and how sound is going to come out of Audacity. Right now, I'm just going to be using the internal microphone on my computer, but you might be using a USB interface like an M-Box or a PreSonus audio box, or maybe a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Those are some of the interfaces most of our students use. But whatever interface you're using to plug your mic into and then to plug that into your computer via USB, it should work with Audacity, whether it's a Mackie mixer or an Alesis Multimix 4, as long as it's a USB interface. Some of our students and some voiceover talent even use USB mics like the Blue Yeti, and that should work as an interface with Audacity as well. So the most important thing right now is this up here. You have a little icon of a microphone and a little icon of the speaker, and basically those are, you know, for your microphone, that's how sound is going into Audacity, and for the speaker, that's how sound's coming out of Audacity. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to keep it internal microphone, the microphone that's just built into my computer, and I'm going to keep the built-in output, the speaker, my computer speakers as well. But depending on what kind of USB interface you're using, whether it's it could be an M-Box Mini, it could be a PreSonus audio box USB, or it could be a Scarlett 2i2, a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Those can be compatible with Audacity as well. For instance, on my microphone icon, my input, I could also select my DigiDesign MBox 2, which I have hooked up to my computer, but I won't do that for right now. I'm just going to keep it built-in microphone. And it works with a lot of different other USB interfaces as well, such as Mackie and the Alesis Multimix USB. Those are all compatible with Audacity. So I have that all set up. Check, 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 check 1, 2, check 1, 2. The other thing that's really important is what kind of track you're going to be recording. If you're doing voiceovers and you're doing a voiceover, you want to keep the track mono. You do that with this drop down over here. Again, the layout might look a little different on a PC version, but these drop down menus are on the PC version as well. They might be up here on the right hand side, I think, but you'll find them if you look around for them. But going back to this track, I want to make sure that I keep it mono. You have the choice between mono or stereo, but you want to do a voiceover in mono. You don't want to do a voiceover in stereo. Stereo is for a sound source that you would pan left to right in stereo, like a piano or a drum set. But with a sound source like the human voice, you want to keep it mono. So once you have your ins and outs set up, your recording and your playback set up, how sound will be going into Audacity and how sound will be coming out of Audacity, you should be getting some signal. And the way you can test that is simple. You just hit the record button. Just check out the transport on Audacity. It's pretty much like an old, a cassette player. You have pause, you have play, you have stop, you have rewind to the beginning and fast forward to the end, and then you have record. So you can just go ahead and hit record. Audacity will automatically generate a track. And right now you see this meter up here, and you can see my voice bounce around. Check 1, check 1, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3. And I'm getting some level. I like to make things really big. I like to see them, so I'm just going to put my icon over the bottom of this track right here and just stretch it out a little bit so I can see it better. The other thing is I like to see the meter a lot better as well, and this is very important. When you're setting your gain on your microphone, and you might think of it as volume on your microphone, but the correct term is gain. You're setting a gain of how much volume, how much sound is going to be going into your software. You want to make sure that you get a very good signal-to-noise ratio. The signal being your voice and the noise being everything else. If I don't get a very good signal-to-noise ratio, I'll get a really weak sound. I won't get a very good representation of my voice going into Audacity. So it's really important that we set the gain in a way that will capture my voice as well as it can. So one thing I like to do is I like to pull the meters out of the transport completely. And one way you can do that is this bar right over here. There's a lot of dots up and down the side of it. And you can just grab those dots and pull this whole thing out. And then on this corner edge, just pull that right out. That allows me to accurately set my gain for my microphone. So let me go ahead and hit record again. And I'm just going to set my gain. Check 1, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3, 4. You might notice that my meter is hitting up around -12, and you always want to gain at the loudest point of your loudest script. Or do a check 1, 2, 3, but make sure you're doing it in full voice. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, check 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're metering too far down around -40, then you have to turn up the gain on your microphone with your audio interface. There should be a gain knob, whether you, again, whatever you're using for your interface. Bring the gain up so you're getting a good level. Don't really look at the waves here. Some people say, oh, it looks big, so that I must be getting a lot of volume. These are just, graphic representations of the sound, but, I never rely on these for how the sound's being used or how the sound's being captured. Right away, I'm already getting a good signal-to-noise ratio. My gain's bouncing up, as I said, around -10. The one thing that you can never do, however, and this is very important, is make sure that the gain's not up so high that it clips. And let me see if I can make it clip right now. If I hit record, and if I just clap my fingers together like that, you can also see that I've clicked out with this red bar at the end. Make sure you never clip. And if you do look at the representation of that, let me just move this window out of the way, grabbing the sidebar there. These are the places I clipped right here. When you clip your audio, it distorts it. It will be useless. I would never send clipped audio to an audition or to a client. It's just useless audio. If you have to err on the side of getting a weak signal-to-noise ratio as opposed to a clipped one, send the weak signal-to-noise ratio. But the ideal, again, is to make sure that this is bouncing up around -14, -12, even -6. As long as it doesn't clip and smash against the end of the meter, you should be fine. And as long as you're not just getting a signal so low that it's right down around -48. Let me see if I can put this meter back now where it was, now that I've set my gain levels. I just shrink it up like this, grab these bars at the side, bring it back to where it was before. I see the little blue arrow there, and just drop it in. Then it just locks into the deck again. So that's gain, very important. So again, let's make another track. Let's just record a little bit. Just hit the record button. Check 1, check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit stop. And the other thing you can do, if you want, you can hit, let me just get rid of this track. The great thing about these tracks is you can just record them if you don't want it. You just hit this little X up here by the audio track. Bam, it's gone. So let me just go ahead and record some audio here to export. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3, 4, check 1, 2. And the other thing is I can hit stop to stop the recording. The other thing you can do is just hit the space bar on your computer keyboard, and that'll stop it as well. And let me go ahead and play what I just recorded. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3, 4, check 1, 2. And the other thing is I can hit stop to stop the recording. The other thing you can do is just hit the space bar on your computer keyboard. And I can do that again if I'm playing back, and I can just hit the space bar on my computer keyboard. Check 1, 2. And I can hit the space bar on my computer keyboard to stop. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, 3. And to stop. So you don't have to keep on mousing around up here. You can just boom, boom, boom. Check 1, 2. So let's just assume that this is a performance or an audition I'm sending to a client. Now, you would never send the entire Audacity file to a client. The client doesn't want a whole Audacity file or whatever recording platform you're using. They just want the audio. So the thing that you want to do is you want to export the audio out of Audacity and get it to the client. So here's how you do that. There's a lot of different kinds of formats you can export audio as out of Audacity. The three main ones that I think are most commonly used is a WAV 24-bit file. A WAV 24-bit file is a WAV file, and a WAV file is typically a lossless audio file format. That means that no information is taken away to make the audio smaller. They can sound better, you know, if you compare a WAV file to like an MP3, and everything's MP3 nowadays. You'd be hard pressed unless you had golden ears to really hear a good MP3 and a good WAV. But a MP3 is a lossy file. There's information that's taken away, right down to the digital code, right down to the zeros and ones of the digital, how it's written. So, and that's beyond me. But it just so you know, if a client asks for a WAV file or an MP3 file or a WAV file with a certain bit rate, you can provide that for them. And so let's go over the first one I mentioned before, the WAV 24-bit file. This is pretty much the best kind of audio file you can send someone, and the only problem with it is huge, and sometimes you cannot email them because they're too big to attach to an email. But let's go over it first. Here's how you do that. You go up to File in Audacity, go down to Export, and you'll get this pop-up window. And let's just name this for purposes right now. I'm just going to name it Brendan's WAV 24-bit file. I'm going to, on the left-hand side here, let me just expand this window out a little bit for you. On this left-hand side, I'm going to save it to my desktop. In the format I'm going to choose, it defaults to MP3 files, but I need to bounce it out as a WAV 24-bit. So I'm going to select Other Uncompressed Files. After that, I have to hit this options button. And then under the specify uncompressed options, you have a lot of choices here. I mean, that's the great thing about Audacity. It gives you a lot of ways to bounce out audio, and all these are appropriate to different kinds of applications. Could be video, could be telephone, trees, whatever it might be. But for our purposes, the most common one, we're going to use the Wave Microsoft. And the encoding option, I'm going to choose 24-bit PCM. Press OK. And then all you have to do next is hit save. And if we look on our desktop, let me just get rid of all this. Here it is, Brendan's Wave 24-bit file. And I can play it. Check 1 2, check 1 2 3, check 1 2 3 4. And of course, the audio quality isn't very good. I'm not doing this in an isolated booth right now. For the purposes of this video, I'm just doing it in front of the computer. So if my client asked me to send them a 24-bit wave file, that's how I would do that. Let's go back to our Audacity session. Say my client says, I don't want a 24-bit, I want 16-bit wave. One of the more important things to know about 16-bit wave versus 24-bit is that a 24-bit wave will not play on a CD, on a conventional CD, if you still use CDs. Most people, you know, the CD is going the way of the dinosaur, but 24-bit audio will not play on a CD. So if someone says, I need you to bounce this out as a wave and put it on a CD for me so I could play back, then you're going to want to bounce it out as a wave 16-bit. And that's easy enough. You just go in Audacity, go up to File, go to Export. Again, I'm going to save it to my desktop, and let's call this Brendan's Wave 16-bit. Go down here, and there's a default right here, Wave Microsoft 16-bit PCM. Click on that, and save. Let me minimize this window. So there's my 16-bit wave. So in order to export audio as an MP3, the first thing you want to do is go up to File, go to Export, and let's call this Brendan's MP3 file. I'm going to save it to my desktop, and the format I'm going to select is MP3 files. Now for most of you, this is pretty much as far as you're going to get. When you click the Save button, or if you click on our PC, if you click the OK button, what's going to happen is you're going to get a pop-up window that says Locate Lame. Lame is, it's spelled L-A-M-E. It is an MP3 encoder that works with Audacity in order for you to export audio as an MP3. And it's a separate bit of software you need to download. So when that window opens up asking you to locate the Lame encoder, you're going to have a few buttons. I've already installed the encoder, so it won't happen when I press the button here, but it may say download or browse for it. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to click the download button in order to get to the web page that allows you to download Lame. But let me go ahead and do that for you right now. So if you open your browser window, a new browser window, if you don't already have your Audacity window open, just Google Audacity, and it just brings to the Audacity page. And let's just do a search. You can type in a search up here. It's powered by Google in the Audacity webpage. Just type in Lame encoder. Here it is right here. How do you download the Lame encoder? And this is a great page right here. How to download and install the Lame MP3 encoder. And there's specific directions for Windows, and there's specific directions for Mac. So when you hit OK to export the audio files MP3, if you don't have the Lame encoder already installed, it's going to ask you to locate it or download it. Just hit the download button. But if it still doesn't bring you to the right page, here's how you get there. I'm just going to go to the Lame download page. If I were a Windows user or PC user, I could just click, jump straight to Lame for Windows. And here's what I would download right here. But I'm a Mac user, so I will download the LAME library version 3.98.2 for Audacity. Just click on that. It will download it. Let me minimize this window here. I can just click off this. Once it comes into my downloads, here's the installer. I just click on this. Very similar to what we did with Audacity at the beginning. We just click on it, brings up a pop-up window. We click on this box, and you'll be guided through the steps necessary to install this software. Continue. Now I've already installed it. All I'd have to do is hit the install button, and it would install for me, allowing me to export audio as MP3s, but I won't do that now because I've already done it. So let me just click off that, click off that. I'm just going to trash these installers that I just downloaded. Let me get rid of this window. So once that's done, once the LAME encoder is downloaded and installed, then I can go up to File, Export. Now I'll have to do this again, Brennan's MP3 file. I'm going to go to my desktop, MP3. My options should stay the same. I'm just going to click on average. It'll default quality to 128 kilobytes per second, variable speed standard, channel mode stereo, OK, and hit save. And let me minimize that. And there's my MP3 file. So those are the three basic file formats you will use: WAV 24-bit, WAV 16-bit, and MP3. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and in conclusion, just so you know, all the audio you will be doing in Audacity for your demo with your Such a Voice program will be done as WAV files 24-bit. So do not do MP3 or WAV 16-bit for your demos. Be sure that you're doing WAV 24-bit for your demos. And again, if you do have any questions, do check out all the resources available with Audacity online that come up on that Audacity pop-up window. And be sure to check out suchavoice.com/support. There's a lot of resources there to help you with all your software questions and even hardware questions for your home studio. Also check out our Audacity video for advanced editing. You can find that in the members only area as well. Have fun and happy recording.